What's going on, guys? Matt here. So today we are looking at an absolute tank of a knife, the Esee 5. I know I've done a lot of Esee reviews, but hey, I just really enjoy the brand. So you might see a couple more, but I'll try to take some space between my Esee reviews from now on. But we are looking at the Esee 5 today. So let's do some size comparisons, then we'll get into specs, what I like, what I dislike, and something unique about the blade. So let's compare it to its bigger / smaller brother. Bigger and blade length, smaller because this is not nearly as thick as that guy, right? 3/16 versus 1/4 of an inch, but you have a good bit more blade length. So if you're trying to decide between these two blades, it just kind of depends on what you're looking for. You're looking for something a little lighter, a little more length on that, more indestructible kind of on this end. Let's look at the Joker knives links, and if you haven't looked into Joker knives, I really encourage you to. A lot of their knives are in $6.95, come with beautiful leather sheaths. This is a 4-inch blade, more of a camp bushcraft knife, I guess you could say, for this one. All purpose really. But 4-inch blade on this one, similar handle length. So let's look at the Ontario SP1. So this is a K-bar size knife. So you have a decent more amount of blade length on this, K-bar size knife, 7 inches, almost 2 inches more. And this weighs a lot less. It probably weighs 3-4 ounces less than this guy. All right, let's compare it to a folding knife you guys are familiar with, probably the Ontario Rat 1. Okay, all right. Now that we've done size comparisons, let's get into the specs. So on the Esee 5, we are looking at a 5 1/4 inch blade. It is 1/4 of an inch thick. Tank of a knife, right? Handle is 5.75 inches. That makes the overall length 11 inches. It is made of 1095, like many Esee knives. The handles are canvas micarta on this model. I think most are canvas micarta. I believe they have the Contour G10 ones for this as well. Because it is the same handle scales as the Esee 6, so they are interchangeable. It weighs a whopping pound, 16 ounces for this 5-inch blade. That's a lot of weight for this small of a knife, or this amount of blade length, and we'll get into that later. So 16 ounces, and if you're going to pick it up, they usually go for around 160, 170, but they kind of range between like 160 and 200. So let's get into what I like about the Esee 5. First of all, it's an Esee, so all the things I like about Esee are mirrored in this one. Fit and finish is great. The sheath is great. Everything out of the box was just fantastic. No hot spots, nothing right here, just contoured beautifully, fit and finish great. Warranty fantastic. The company's just a great company. So yeah, all those things hold true. I really like the handle on this, partially because it's the same handle as this Esee 6. It has the same exact handle scales, and both are contoured very nicely, so it's very comfortable. Now, you do have a little bit more chunkiness, right, to this one, because you're adding a few millimeters on that blade tang. But it feels mostly the same. Like the handle in hand, obviously this is heavier, but the handle in hand feels mostly the same. It's a very comfortable handle, and I really do enjoy it. There is one aspect I will get into that I don't particularly love about it, though. Another thing I like is the blade grind. A lot of Esees are full flat grinds, as you can see. And this is flat ground. So, you have this flat portion right up here, and then you have, it starts going down to the edge, that bevel to the edge. And I like that. One, it's just a little bit different than the other Esees. And two, it just makes it a little bit more durable. And this knife was designed for downed pilots to, survive with. That's what they designed this knife for. So you're a pilot, you use that glass breaker to get out, though I know airplane shields are, windshields are like crazy super thick, so good luck getting out with that guy. But yeah, so they designed this to be indestructible for those airline pilots, and I like that grind. I think it's a good idea for what they were going for, and I prefer flat grinds, to be honest, over full flat grinds. It adds a little bit of durability. And, with things like batoning, you can see there's contact right here when I've done some batoning with this. So there's contact right here, but when it reaches that portion, the wood splits out kind of like a wedge. And so it's a lot better of a batoner than a full flat grind. Whereas you can see I've done batoning with that, and there's contact the whole way through. So it just doesn't baton as well, a full flat grind. And this does. So great choice. Also makes that tip a little more stout. I really like the flat grind on this. Now, preferably, and this is just a little tangent, I like kind of a higher flat grind like this. I believe this is flat grind. Yeah. You know, you can see there's more distance right here where that starts to go down to the edge. So that makes it slice a little bit better. So would I prefer them bring this up a couple millimeters? Yeah, probably. But I still do like the grind on this. Another thing I like is the overall feel. Now, the reason it feels like this is because it's so darn heavy, but it does feel, it just inspires confidence. And you guys, if you guys own Esee knives in the comments, or Esee 5s rather, in the comments, let me know if you feel the same way. When you pick this knife up, you just don't worry about it. You don't think, oh, I got to be careful with this one. You know, I got to be careful that I don't break the tip, maybe on like an Esee 6, a little bit thinner of a tip, a lot thinner of a tip. You just don't worry about it with a knife like this. And a knife that inspires confidence is a knife that you are going to pick up more often, I think. So along with that, I love the indestructibility of this knife. You just don't worry about it. I can't think of a knife design more capable, maybe not more capable, but more tough than this. There's not any other knife. Maybe the Becker BK2 would be just about as strong. But this knife is one of the most durable knives I think out there, and yeah, I think that's great. Just the indestructibility. If that's what you're going for, that's cool, and I appreciate that about it. Another thing I love, and this is the last thing, is the Kydex sheath, guys. This thing rocks. This is one of the best sheaths I've ever had. I've really started to love Kydex, and man, this is just perfectly formed. It's a taco style, which means it's folded over. You have a seam right there, and then no seam right there. That just locks in perfectly. No rattle whatsoever. Man, that's a perfect sheath. And then it has this little screw, and if you really need a little bit more security, you can pull that up, and then this cannot come out anymore. So, but it just has the perfect amount of retention. Gosh, guys, this is a perfect sheath. Other knife companies, Cold Steel, take notes. This is how you make a sheath. This is how you make a modern polymer sheath. It's fantastic. Just knocked it out of the park with this Kydex. Love it. So that is what I like about the Esee 5. Now let's get into what I dislike. So, it's too heavy. I know I talked about it. I like the feel. I like that it feels like it's indestructible. But let's get into something, because I think it's important to bring up. I think there's a point of diminishing returns when it comes to indestructibility on a knife. Yes, the 1/4 inch thickness is nice, but could they have gone with, let's say, 0.22, 5.5 millimeters, maybe gone with a little bit higher of a flat grind, knocked off a couple of ounces, you know, maybe even more, maybe 3 ounces, this knife probably would have been just as indestructible, nearly as indestructible anyway. And so when it comes to what you use a knife for, I think there is a point that you reach of kind of diminishing returns on its indestructibility. You know, there's just, I don't think it needs to be a 1/4 inch thick. I just don't think it needs to be that thick. I think it could have been a little bit thinner. Grind could have been a little bit higher. They could have knocked off a couple of ounces and made it a little bit more comfortable of a belt knife to carry around. So I just think it's a little bit too heavy. I still like the feel of it, but it is too heavy. Another thing I don't like is, Esee, come on. Why is that not sharpened to the sharpening choil? It's just a big pet peeve of mine. I mean, knife companies, sharpen it to the sharpening choil. And like I talked about in my Esee 6 video, if you said, well, we didn't sharpen it so you could put your finger there, just make a regular choil, guys. You know, that drives me crazy. But apparently that's what they do on all of their Esee 5. So if anyone has a reason why they do that, aside from, you know, using it as a kind of a faux finger choil, let me know. I really would be interested to hear why. And the last thing I don't like, and I mentioned this earlier, is the bow drill divot. This is a bow drill divot, so it's meant to, if you make a bow drill and you're using a stick to create a friction fire, you're able to hold that stick kind of right in here, and use your friction fire like that. So I don't know. I'm sure some people have used it, and I'm sure if it's come in handy if you're really, really into that kind of kind of archaic style of bushcraft. You know, I know a lot of bushcrafters use flint, or they use fire steels now, but I just don't see it as necessary. And it kind of, as you can see, my pinky kind of comes around it, and it kind of creates a little bit of a discomfort right there. Now, that's only if I hold it in a certain way, so it's really not a big deal, but I don't know. I don't know how difficult, if you're really in that dire of a survival situation, how difficult it would be to cut a chunk of wood and notch out a little hole. I just feel like that would be not that difficult. Anyway, that's what I don't like. It is too heavy. I think there could have been a couple of things they could do to lighten this up. It's not sharpened to the choil, and the bow drill, the little divot, I just don't see the need for it. Anyway, what's unique? Well, like I talked about before, and what I like, can't think of a knife more indestructible than this. Do I think it's too heavy? Probably. But if you are going for absolute indestructibility, this is probably a good option for you. The Becker BK2, but to get it kind of up to the quality that you already have with this, with the micarta scales, with the absolutely outstanding Kydex sheath, you're looking at paying about the same amount as this. So just the absolute indestructibility capability of this tank of a knife, I think, is what makes it unique. Guys, thanks so much for watching. I would recommend this knife. Given all of its caveats, I think it's a great knife, well designed, just a little bit too heavy for, my personal taste. But yes, I would recommend it. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Make sure to like and subscribe, and we will see you in the next video. Peace.